In Git, what is the purpose of the clone command? A. To create a new branch. B. To record changes in a repository. C. To create a copy of a remote repository. D. To switch to a different branch. And correct answer is option C. To create a copy of a remote repository. Git clone is primarily used to point to an existing repo and make a clone or copy of that repo in a new directory at another location. The original repository can be located on the local file system or on remote machine accessible supported protocols. What is the git command for adding changes to the staging area? A. Git commit. B. Git add. C. Git push. D. Git pull. And correct answer is option B. Git add. The git add command adds a change in the working directory to the staging area. It tells Git that you want to include updates to a particular file in the next commit. However, git add doesn't really affect the repository in any significant way. Changes are not actually recorded until you run git commit. What is a repository in Git? A. A collection of HTML files. B. A directory where Git stores its configuration. C. A container for version-controlled files and their history. D. A remote server used for collaboration. And correct answer is option C. A container for version-controlled files and their history. A repository is the most basic element of GitHub. It's a place where you can store your code, your files, and each file's revision history. Repositories can have multiple collaborators and can be either public or private. What is the purpose of the .gitignore file in a Git repository? A. It contains the Git configuration settings. B. It stores the commit messages. C. It specifies files and directories to be ignored by Git. D. It lists remote repositories. And correct answer is option C. It specifies files and directories to be ignored by Git. The purpose of gitignore files is to ensure that certain files not tracked by Git remain untracked. What does a Git branch represent? A. A single file in the repository. B. A specific version of the software. C. A copy of a remote repository. D. A separate line of development. And correct answer is option D. A separate line of development. Branches allow you to develop features, fix bugs, or safely experiment with new ideas in a contained area of your repository. You always create a branch from an existing branch. Typically, you might create a new branch from the default branch of your repository. In Git, what is a remote? A. A branch with special privileges. B. A copy of a local repository. C. A server-side repository. D. A file storage location. And correct answer is option C. A server-side repository. A remote repository in Git, also called a remote, is a Git repository that's hosted on the internet or another network. What is the Git command for merging one branch into another? A. Git merge. B. Git branch. C. Git pull. D. Git push. And correct answer is option A, git merge. To merge branches locally, use git checkout to switch to the branch you want to merge into. This branch is typically the main branch. Next, use git merge and specify the name of the other branch to bring into this branch. What is the purpose of the git log command in Git? A. To create a new commit. B. To view the commit history. C. To switch branches. D. To remove a file from the repository. And correct answer is option B. To view the commit history. The git log command displays committed snapshots. It lets you list the project history, filter it, and search for specific changes. Which git command is used to push changes to a remote repository? A. Git pull. B. Git push. C. Git commit. D. Git merge. And correct answer is option B, git push. To push the commit from the local repo to your remote repositories, run git push-u remote name branch name where remote name is the nickname the local repo uses for the remote repositories and branch name is the name of the branch to push to the repository. What is the primary purpose of the git status command in Git? A. To view the commit history. B. To create a new branch. C. To check the status of the working directory and staging area. D. To switch to a different branch. And correct answer is option C. To check the status of the working directory and staging area. The git status command displays the state of the working directory and the staging area. It lets you see which changes have been staged, which haven't, and which files aren't being tracked by Git.